We begin with news on the economy. In a national address just in time for the holidays and which sought to lay economic signposts for the new year, Premier Dr. D. Orlando Smith attempted to answer some of the questions being asked by his countrymen about the state of the BVI's economy. Trying times, new normal. Those are two of the phrases Premier of the British Virgin Islands Dr. D. Orlando Smith emphasized during his address to the nation on Tuesday evening. In the 21 minutes long speech aired on both radio and television, Dr. Smith, who also has responsibility for the finance portfolio, made a case for why the BVI's economy continues to struggle, as well as the underlying causes of the recent fallout within the financial services sector. But first, he began by explaining why the 2017 budget, which was due last month, will be delayed until the start of the new year.
This year, we will be submitting our budget somewhat later than is customary, likely in January. While a December budget is ideal, budgets may be submitted after that time, and indeed have been submitted by both sides of the aisle as late as April. We want to take our time in reviewing the allocations to the various programs that are carried on to ensure the most efficient use of government resources. And this includes developing a capital program. There are a number of critical decisions that have to be made on this front, and we don't want to make hasty judgments.
Now, while he didn't provide any figures, the Premier indicated that earnings from the financial services industry took a hit this year, as catastrophes such as the global economic crisis continue to have a ripple effect on the country's financial center 8 years later, and a situation, Dr. Smith says, is further compounded by regulators in the US, UK and Europe and the Panama Papers debacle.
Billions of dollars in fines were imposed upon these companies. Suddenly, the banks that do business here in the BVI were concerned not just about serving their customers and clients, but also about the risk in their operations, which is another way of saying they wanted to make sure they did nothing to offend their regulators. In this context, banks began reconsidering how they do business here in the BVI and in other jurisdictions, and some banks began exiting the region entirely. That situation became significantly more difficult with the publication of the so-called Panama Papers.
In spite of the challenges, Premier Smith says there is a three-pronged approach that is currently underway, geared at 1. Reviewing, 2. Lobbying and promoting the BVI's financial industry as, quote, a force of good in the world, end quote, and 3. Diversifying services offered in the financial sector.
Earlier this year, we commissioned a study by Capital Economics out of the UK to determine the contribution that BVI financial services make to the global economy. The results of that study will be ready for the inclusion in my next budget address. No system is perfect. Indeed, no jurisdiction in the world could make that claim.
Dr. Smith assured that any belt tightening, which will be taking place in the near future, will be done in a manner in line with his party's election campaign promise to, as he put it, plan for the future and not just spend for the day.
Whatever belt tightening we must do, it will not come at the expense of the common man or woman. We will not be cutting core services or reducing our investment in your children's schools, in your healthcare, in your roads or infrastructure, on helping grow your businesses and your economy.
But when all was said and done, the Premier maintained that not only is he confident in the pillars on which the BVI's economy is based, but in the resiliency and strength of its people and their ability to unite against all odds.